Hello and welcome to this episode of the Weekly Word. I'm Father Michael,
Father Ed?
Deacon Kyle.
and we are here preparing for the 12th Sunday of Ordinary Time this year. And in this particular occasion, it happens to be my final Sunday in this assignment, my final Sunday at the parish. So this is
So
my final word.
His
Final
final
word.
word from
My
Father
final
Mike.
word.
And of course, Father Dominic is on retreat
Retreat.
this week. So we are swapping places in many ways around here.
Yeah, for sure.
So in these readings, we have maybe a reflection on what is the source and the reaction of people of faith to bad things happening. You know, remember Rabbi Kushner had his Why Bad Things Happen to Good People. In the book of Job, in the first reading, we have some reference to that whole notion of God is not punishing people who suffer. That's a hard sell, especially in many ethnic communities, as far as my experience is concerned. And then in the gospel text, we have the disciples panicking because they are experiencing suffering and fear of, therefore, and Jesus challenges them to, why are you afraid? Why don't you believe? Don't you have faith? So that was kind of where we started off.
Yeah, and then we started to go down a road of seeing how a week or so ago we were looking at disunity being a symptom of the presence of evil, and so communion being the answer or the remedy. And now seems as if fear that the apostles were experiencing in the boat might be a sign or a symptom of faithlessness, or at least not putting faith into practice. Doesn't mean you're completely without faith and that you're nowhere and got to start from the beginning, but just that perhaps we're not using the faith that we have when we're experiencing fear. We're letting the chaos of the sea that the apostles are experiencing, overwhelm what we know to be true and what we believe. And that, in this case, is that the presence of Jesus. Jesus in our lives, just like they had Jesus in the boat between baptism and Holy Communion and all the sacraments, and continually developing a personal relationship with Jesus through prayer and a communal relationship with Jesus in the church at large. He's very much present to us, very much in our lives. And all we have to do is access the faith that we have now. Again, a hard sell and sometimes easier said than done. But I think we've decided that perhaps when we start to feel afraid, you take that as a sign of there's something with our faith life that we're not doing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah, the notion that Jesus is not with me, or God is not with me when I am in trouble. We have that psalm that I like to sing, be with me, Lord, when I am in trouble, be with me, Lord, I pray, or something. That is kind of a conundrum for us, is that because we have this idea that if God loves me and I am doing everything right with God, then I should be protected from pain and sorrow. I know that flies in the face of our Easter mystery, the Paschal mystery, because God revealed to us that no, precisely when you are in trouble is when I can draw most near to you, but it takes faith. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if Deacon, you had anything you wanted to throw on this pile.
The one thing that really caught my attention was that the apostles, many of which were fishermen and around the Sea of Galilee their whole lives, that if this was such a huge storm that really caused them to be fearful, then it really must have been something huge and probably frightful. But even with Jesus on the boat there, they were still afraid. And I think that maybe can be some consolation in our own lives, that when we are in trouble, when we are fearful, that yes, Christ is with us. Christ is calling us to draw near to him and to awaken him in our own lives, allow him to enter into that chaos and into that fear, just as he did for the apostles, to really call out to him, not just be in the fear and wallow in the fear, but to call out to him and be hopeful rather than fearful.
I want to go back to what you said about being in the chaos. And I think it's worth noting that even though Jesus was on the boat, even though he was there, the storm still happened.
Mhm.
There was still chaos.
Mhm.
And that's going to be true in our lives too, that as we go out into the world and experience relationships, family, work, friendship, all of them, there's obviously going to be many good times and good things, but there's going to be a lot of chaos as well. And that's just the nature of the fallen world. And we have to be there in the chaos. And just because there's chaos doesn't mean that God doesn't love us or that he isn't with us.
Mhm.
He is.
Mhm.
That's why
Yeah.
don't fear, turn to the Lord who is with you, and let him guide you through the storm, the chaos.
Easier said than done. I had a Irish grandmother, and she always referred to, "Oh, sleeping Jesus." So when she couldn't sense that God was helping her, she would kind of wave her hand and say, "Oh, sleeping Jesus." He's. And I thought, that's interesting. Remember Elijah on the mount when he was with the prophets of Baal,
Mhm.
and they were calling on God, calling on God. He said, "Oh,
Maybe
maybe he's taking a nap."
Yeah.
Yeah, sometimes it feels like God might be taking a nap. But so join us in thanking God for Father Michael and this week of his farewell. 11:30 Mass, we're going to be celebrating, Michael's going to be celebrating Mass and a reception afterwards. So please pray for him and his new parish. And of course, for all of us, that we not be afraid and that we have great faith.
God bless.
Peace.